Okay, boys and girls, so by now you should have read chapter 1 in the Lemonade Wars, and we're going to look at some of these slides. Okay, the first one we're going to look at is the word slump. You hear the title of chapter 1 is slump, and a slump is a drop in the activity of a business or economy. What that means is maybe a restaurant is making a lot of money, and then all of a sudden the next week people stop coming to eat there and the restaurant doesn't make any money. So the restaurant would be in a slump, meaning there would be a drop in people coming in to eat, and that way they wouldn't earn as much money. So how does the word slump relate to the main events and feelings expressed in chapter 1? Think about Jesse and Evan. Who do you feel like might be in a little bit of a slump? Okay, we're going to go on to our next slide. Here are some of the vocabulary words that you will see in chapter 1. I'm going to say the word and I want you to say it after me. Disgust, complicated, genius, humiliated, and humongous. Now, what you should do at this point is write these words down on a piece of notebook paper, and we're going to keep track of these words, these vocabulary words, as we read the book. You can also take the dictionaries that you were given earlier this year, and you can look up these words to see what they mean, and also try to use them in your own sentence. But I do want you to keep track of these words as we read. When you draw an inference, you think about things using the clues from what you read and also what you know. Now, I want you to think for a minute. Evan was throwing the baseball up and down, and then you hear it drop on his face. Now, what do you know about a baseball? A baseball is hard, and if it hits your nose, how is it going to make you feel? So what you're doing is, before we even hear how Evan feels, is we should be drawing an inference in our head and thinking about how Evan is going to feel when that baseball hits his face based on what we know about a baseball. So that is what drawing an inference is. It's when the author gives you a little bit of information and you need to think about what he really means. Listen to this. Leave me alone. I came down here to get away from you, and you just had to follow. You ruined everything. You ruined my summer, and now you're going to ruin school. I hate you. What does this text tell us about how Evan is feeling? How do you think Evan is feeling? When you say things like that, or when you hear someone else say things like that, how do they actually feel? What you're doing is you're making an inference. You know what things people say when they feel certain ways, so you are inferring how Evan feels. We're also going to talk about figurative language. We've talked about that. Remember, we talked about it was like having a chest full of bats beating their wings, fighting to get out. Now think about it. Did Evan really have a chest full of bats? He's using figurative language to describe how he's feeling. He's using a simile. A simile is a comparison of two things using like or as. Here, Evan's feelings are being compared to having a chest full of bats. Why do you think the author would use a chest full of bats to help us understand how Evan is feeling? Could you imagine what it would feel like to have a chest full of bats? All right, so I'm going to stop here, and next time we will pick up with chapter 2. Make sure you listen to chapter 2 before we go through the slides. I hope you're enjoying the book.